First contact and cohabitation. The autumn rain drummed against the windows of the Seattle Xenobiology Research Center as Dr. Alex Chen stared at the notification on his tablet. Housing Initiative participant match confirmed. The message read, followed by a string of credentials he'd need to verify his new roommate's identity. He hadn't volunteered for this program. The Department of Xenological Integration had simply informed him that as a leading researcher in xenobiology, he was uniquely qualified to participate in their new housing initiative. The sound of footsteps pulled his attention away from the tablet. Dr. Sarah Martinez, his research partner, leaned against the doorframe of his office. "So you got matched too?" she asked, a knowing smile playing at the corners of her mouth. "Yeah," Alex sighed, running a hand through his disheveled black hair. "A Lysarian. Due to arrive today, actually." He glanced at his watch. "In about 2 hours." Sarah's eyes widened. "The crystalline ones. Fascinating. Their biological structure is unlike anything we've ever seen." "Did you read Dr. Peterson's paper on their electromagnetic properties?" "I did." Alex nodded, standing to gather his things. "But I'm not sure how that helps me be a better roommate." He'd spent the last 5 years studying alien biology, but nothing in his research had prepared him for actually living with one. The drive home was a blur of neon signs reflecting off wet pavement and autonomous vehicles gliding through the perpetual Seattle drizzle. Alex's apartment was in one of the newer buildings in the International District, specifically designed to accommodate both human and non-human residents. As he pulled into the parking garage, his car's display pinged with another notification. "Your assigned cohabitant has arrived." The elevator ride to the 15th floor felt longer than usual. When the doors opened, Alex saw her immediately. The Lysarian was standing by his apartment door, her crystalline skin catching the hallway lights and refracting them in subtle patterns across the walls. She was tall, nearly 7 feet, with a humanoid form that seemed to be composed of translucent faceted surfaces that shifted and flowed like liquid crystal. "Dr. Chen," she spoke, her voice resonating with an unusual harmonic quality. "I am Valera." The way she pronounced her name made it sound like wind through crystal chimes. "Please call me Alex," he replied, approaching with what he hoped was a welcoming smile. As he got closer, he noticed something odd. The crystalline patterns of her skin seemed to pulse with a faint, irregular rhythm. Inside the apartment, Valera moved with careful precision, as though each step was calculated. "Your dwelling is adequate," she said, though something in her tone suggested uncertainty. "Thanks, I think," Alex replied, showing her to the guest room. "This will be your space. I know it's not exactly standard housing for your people, but—" "It will suffice," she interrupted, but then swayed slightly. Alex instinctively reached out to steady her, his hand passing through what felt like an electric field before touching her crystalline surface. The sensation was bizarre, warm and vibrating with energy. "Are you all right?" he asked, quickly withdrawing his hand. Valera's surface rippled with patterns that Alex suspected might indicate distress. "I am adapting. Your planet's electromagnetic field is different from what we are accustomed to. It requires adjustment." Later that night, Alex sat in his study, poring over research papers about Lysarian biology. Their species had arrived on Earth 3 years ago, refugees from a dying world whose magnetic field had begun to collapse. But something about Valera's reaction to Earth's environment wasn't adding up. The official reports claimed the Lysarians had adapted easily to Earth's conditions, yet he'd seen clear signs of discomfort in his new roommate. A soft crystalline chiming drew his attention. Valera stood in the doorway, her form seeming to flicker like northern lights. "Dr. Chen." "Alex," she corrected herself. "I must ask something of you, though it may seem strange by human standards." Alex set down his tablet. "What is it?" "Among my people, we require proximity during rest periods to stabilize our electromagnetic fields. Without it—" She paused, her surface rippling with what might have been pain. Without it, the adaptation process becomes difficult. Alex felt his scientific curiosity peak. Are you saying you need to be near another living being to sleep? To maintain proper field synchronization, yes. Normally, this would be done with other Lysarians, but she trailed off, her form flickering more intensely. The implication slowly dawned on Alex. His new alien roommate was essentially asking to sleep near him. Everything he knew about xenobiology told him this could be an unprecedented opportunity to study Lysarian biology up close. Everything he knew about personal boundaries told him it was a terrible idea. But as he watched Valera's crystalline form continue to flicker and pulse erratically, he realized this wasn't about research anymore. This was about helping someone in need, regardless of their species. Okay, he heard himself say. We'll figure something out. Valera's surface suddenly became more stable, the patterns flowing more smoothly. Thank you, she said, her harmonic voice carrying what sounded like genuine relief. Perhaps there is hope for our peoples to understand each other after all. As Alex prepared for what would surely be the strangest night of his life, he couldn't help but wonder what other surprises his new roommate would bring. One thing was certain. His life as a xenobiologist was about to become a lot more interesting. Cultural collision. The first week of living with a crystalline alien proved more challenging than Alex had anticipated. He'd agreed to let Valera rest near him, setting up a sleeping arrangement in the living room where their electromagnetic fields could synchronize. But what started as a scientific accommodation was quickly becoming something more complex. Your bioelectric field is unusual, Valera commented one evening as they sat in the living room. She was perched on the edge of the couch, her crystalline form catching the city lights from the window and transforming them into intricate patterns across the walls. It fluctuates with your emotions in a way I've never observed in other humans. Alex looked up from his research notes. You can sense my emotions through electromagnetic fields. Not precisely, she replied, her voice chiming with what he'd learned to recognize as amusement. But there are patterns. Your field becomes more chaotic when you're excited about your research, more rhythmic when you're calm. She paused, her surface rippling. Right now, it's resonating with curiosity. He couldn't help but smile. Guilty as charged. I've been studying the data from our synchronized rest periods. The way your crystalline structure interacts with biological electromagnetic fields is fascinating. Is that all that is to you? Valera asked, her tone suddenly sharp. Research data. The question caught Alex off guard. No, of course not. I mean, yes, I'm learning a lot. But he stopped, noticing the irregular pulses moving across her surface. Valera, what's wrong? She stood abruptly, her form flickering with intensity. Among my people, sharing electromagnetic synchronization is intimate, not in your human sense of romance, but in terms of trust and connection. It is not something we typically share with outsiders. I'm sorry, Alex said quickly. I didn't realize. The official documents about your species didn't mention. There is much they didn't mention, Valera interrupted, her voice carrying an undercurrent of pain. Much they chose not to see. Before Alex could respond, Valera suddenly staggered, her crystalline form dimming dramatically. He rushed to her side, catching her before she could fall. The moment they touched, he felt an overwhelming surge of sensation. Fear, pain, and something else, something alien yet achingly familiar. This isn't just about cultural differences, is it? He asked softly, helping her sit back down. Something's wrong, really wrong. Valera's surface rippled with patterns he'd never seen before. We are dying, she whispered, her harmonic voice barely audible. All of us. Slowly, but surely. Earth's electromagnetic field. It's not just different from our home world. It's incompatible in ways our scientists didn't predict. Alex felt his heart race. But the official reports are diplomatic fiction, she finished. Our leaders didn't want to burden Earth with the truth after you so generously offered us refuge. We thought we could adapt, find a solution quietly. Her form flickered again. We were wrong. The implications hit Alex like a physical blow. The irregular patterns he'd observed, the necessity for electromagnetic synchronization. They weren't cultural quirks. They were symptoms of a species-wide medical crisis. How many others are suffering like you? He asked, his scientist's mind already racing through possibilities. All of us, to varying degrees. Some hide it better than others. Valera's surface stabilized slightly. Your field, it helps more than most. Something about its particular frequency. But it's not enough. Not for long-term survival. Alex stood and began pacing, his mind working overtime. We need to document this properly, run tests, find a way to... No, Valera's voice was firm. Our leadership was clear. We cannot risk causing panic or straining diplomatic relations. We must handle this internally. While your people suffer in silence. Alex stopped pacing to look at her. That's not right, Valera. And as a scientist, I can't just ignore. As my synchronized partner, she interrupted, her tone carrying an emotion he couldn't quite identify. I am asking you to respect our wishes. The phrase synchronized partner hung in the air between them, loaded with implications neither of them fully understood. Alex sat back down beside her, noticing how her crystalline structure seemed to stabilize slightly at his proximity. Okay, he said finally. I won't report this officially, but I'm not going to do nothing. There has to be a solution, and I'm going to help you find it, diplomatically or not. Valera's surface rippled with what might have been relief or possibly concern. You would risk your career, your standing in the scientific community, to help us. To help you, he corrected. And yes, sometimes the right thing and the official thing aren't the same thing. As they sat there in the growing darkness, their electromagnetic fields gradually synchronizing, Alex realized he crossed a line. This wasn't just about science anymore, or even about helping a species in need. This was personal. And as Valera's crystalline form began to glow with a soft, steady light, he knew there was no going back. What he didn't know was that his decision would soon put him at the center of a crisis that would challenge not just his career, but everything he thought he knew about life, connection, and what it truly means to be human. The hidden truth. The Seattle Xenobiology Research Center's basement lab was eerily quiet at 3 a.m. Alex hunched over his workstation, surrounded by holographic displays showing electromagnetic field patterns. He'd been secretly running simulations for weeks, trying to understand why Earth's magnetic field was slowly killing the Lizarians. You're here late, Dr. Chen. Alex jumped at the voice, quickly minimizing his displays. Dr. Sarah Martinez stood in the doorway, her expression unreadable. Just catching up on some work, he said, trying to sound casual. You're here late yourself. Sarah walked into the lab, her eyes scanning the remnants of data still visible on the peripheral screens. Interesting research, especially since it doesn't match any of our official projects. She paused, fixing him with a steady gaze. This is about your Lizarian roommate, isn't it? Alex felt his throat tighten. Sarah, Save it, she interrupted, but her tone was gentle. I've noticed the changes in her too. The way her crystalline structure flickers more than it should, the irregular energy patterns. She pulled up a chair beside him. They're all suffering, aren't they? Relief and anxiety warred in Alex's chest. How did you know? I have 2 Lizarians in my research group. Their symptoms are subtle, but once you know what to look for. She gestured at his screens. Show me what you found. Alex hesitated only a moment before maximizing his displays. It's not just that Earth's magnetic field is different from their home world. It's actively disrupting their internal crystalline matrix. Look at these resonance patterns. Sarah leaned forward, studying the data. The interference is cumulative. Their bodies can compensate for a while, But eventually it will kill them, Alex finished grimly. Valera's condition is deteriorating faster than most. I think it's because she's been helping others synchronize their fields, acting as a sort of stabilizing influence. But it's taking a toll. That matches what I've observed. Sarah nodded. The Lysarians in my group seem to be doing better than average. I assumed it was because of their limited exposure to Earth's full magnetic field in the shielded labs. But now I wonder. A thought struck Alex. Valera mentioned that my electromagnetic field helps more than most. What if that's not just coincidence? What if some human bioelectric fields can actually help stabilize their crystalline matrix? Sarah was already pulling up new simulations. It's possible. Human bioelectric fields vary significantly between individuals. If we could identify the specific frequencies that help, we might be able to develop some kind of treatment. Alex finished, excitement building. But we'd need more data. Direct measurements of the synchronization process. That would mean revealing that we know about the problem. Sarah warned. The Lysarian leadership has gone to great lengths to keep this quiet. Alex ran a hand through his hair in frustration. I know. Valera made me promise not to report it officially. But people are dying, Sarah. There has to be a way to help without causing a diplomatic incident. Perhaps there is. Sarah pulled up a new file. I've been working on a prototype electromagnetic field modulator for an entirely different project, with some modifications. They worked through the night, combining Alex's research on Lysarian biology with Sarah's engineering expertise. As dawn broke over Seattle, they had the beginnings of a plan. Risky, possibly illegal, but potentially life-saving. Alex returned home to find Valera in obvious distress. Her crystalline form was flickering rapidly, the usually smooth patterns of light fragmenting into chaotic shards. Valera. He rushed to her side, instinctively reaching out to establish contact. The moment their fields synchronized, he felt a wave of pain that wasn't his own. The degradation is accelerating, she managed, her harmonic voice distorted. I shouldn't have tried to help so many others. Why didn't you tell me it was getting this bad? Alex supported her as they moved to the couch, maintaining physical contact to help stabilize her field. Because you would try to help, she replied softly. And that would put you at risk. I'm already helping, he admitted. Sarah knows. She figured it out on her own. We're working on something that might help, not just you but all Lysarians. Valera's surface rippled with alarm. Alex, no. If the authorities discover. Let them. He interrupted. This is too important to worry about protocols and politics. Your life is more important. Her crystalline form pulsed with an emotion he couldn't quite read. Why? Why risk everything for us? For me. Alex looked at their joined hands, watching the way their electromagnetic fields intertwined in visible patterns of light. Because sometimes the most human thing we can do is break the rules to help others. And because... He paused, realizing the truth as he said it. Because you're not just my research subject or my roommate anymore. You're my friend. And I don't abandon my friends. Valera's surface slowly stabilized, taking on a soft glow he'd never seen before. Among my people, she said carefully, such dedication would mark the beginning of a deep bond. A true synchronization of not just fields but purpose. Then maybe it's time humans and Lysarians learn to synchronize in more ways than one. Alex replied. But first, we need to get you well. Tomorrow, I'm going to show you what Sarah and I have been working on. It's not a complete solution yet, but it's a start. As they sat together in the growing morning light, their fields harmonizing into a steady rhythm, Alex knew they'd crossed another threshold. The solution they were working on wasn't just about saving lives anymore. It was about building bridges between two species, one connection at a time. What he didn't know was that their work was about to attract attention from both human and Lysarian authorities, setting in motion events that would either bring their peoples together or tear them apart forever. Breaking protocol. The prototype electromagnetic field modulator hummed softly on the lab bench, its sophisticated arrays casting a blue glow across the room. Alex checked the readings for the 10th time, aware of both Sarah and Valera watching intently. "The resonance patterns are stable," he announced, trying to keep the excitement from his voice. "If these readings are correct, this could actually work." Sarah nodded, studying the data streams. "The modulator is replicating the specific frequencies from your bioelectric field that seem to help Valera. In theory, it should provide the same stabilizing effect, but on a larger scale." "In theory," Valera echoed, her crystalline form flickering with what Alex had learned to recognize as nervousness. "But theories cannot account for all variables." Before either scientist could respond, the lab's security system chimed. "Dr. Chen, Dr. Martinez," a computerized voice announced. "Director Williams requests your immediate presence in the main conference room." Alex and Sarah exchanged worried glances. "He never calls emergency meetings," Sarah muttered. "Not unless someone knows," Alex finished grimly. He turned to Valera. "You need to leave. If they're investigating us, I will not abandon you to face consequences alone." Valera interrupted, her harmonic voice firm. "My people have hidden too long, allowed fear to dictate our actions. No more." The conference room was already full when they arrived. Director Williams stood at the head of the table, his expression severe. Beside him sat two Lysarian officials, their crystalline forms radiating authority and displeasure. "Dr. Chen, Dr. Martinez," Williams began without preamble. "Would you care to explain why you've been conducting unauthorized research on Lysarian biology?" Alex stepped forward, positioning himself slightly in front of Valera. "Sir, we discovered a critical health crisis affecting the Lysarian population. We couldn't ignore. A crisis that the Lysarian leadership has chosen to handle internally," one of the Lysarian officials interrupted, their form pulsing with controlled anger. "You have violated multiple protocols and potentially endangered diplomatic relations." "With all due respect," Sarah interjected, "how is watching people suffer in silence better for diplomatic relations? You don't understand the complexities." The second Lysarian official began, but stopped abruptly as Valera stepped forward. "No." Valera's voice rang out, carrying harmonics that made everyone in the room flinch. "It is you who do not understand. Look at me. Really look." Her form flickered violently, the chaotic patterns of deterioration impossible to ignore. "This is what your silence has wrought. How many more must suffer before you acknowledge the truth?" The Lysarian officials' forms rippled with shock. "Your deterioration, it's accelerated far beyond projected rates," the first one said softly. "Because she's been helping others," Alex explained, moving to support Valera as her flickering intensified. "Acting as a stabilizing influence for those who are suffering most. And she's not the only one." Director Williams leaned forward, his stern expression softening slightly. "You found a potential solution." Sarah quickly pulled up the modulator schematics on the room's holographic display. "We've identified specific frequencies in human bioelectric fields that can help stabilize Lysarian crystalline matrices. The modulator can replicate these frequencies on a larger scale." "If it works," the second Lysarian official noted skeptically. "Then let us test it," Valera challenged. "Here, now, before witnesses from both our peoples." A tense silence filled the room. Alex could feel Valera trembling slightly against him, her form continuing to flicker erratically. Finally, Director Williams nodded. "Do it," he ordered. "But if anything goes wrong." "It won't," Alex said with more confidence than he felt. He looked at Valera. "Ready?" She straightened, her form pulsing with determination. "Yes." The next few minutes were among the longest of Alex's life. Sarah activated the modulator while he monitored Valera's readings. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then, gradually, the chaotic flickering of her crystalline form began to smooth out. The fragmented patterns of light started flowing more naturally, taking on a steady, healthy glow. "The resonance patterns are stabilizing," Sarah reported, her voice tight with excitement. Crystal matrix integrity is improving by 30%, 40%. Valera's form suddenly blazed with light, causing everyone to shield their eyes. When the glow faded, she stood transformed, her crystalline structure clear and strong, pulsing with vitality Alex hadn't seen since they first met. "How do you feel?" he asked softly. "Whole," she replied, her voice carrying harmonics of joy and relief. "For the first time since arriving on Earth, I feel whole." The Lysarian officials were conferring rapidly in their own language, their forms showing clear agitation. Finally, the first one turned to address the room. "This changes things," they admitted. "But implementing a solution of this scale will require careful consideration. The diplomatic implications will be handled," Director Williams interrupted firmly. "But the health of an entire species takes precedence over diplomatic niceties. Dr. Chen, Dr. Martinez, you have full authorization to continue your research. We'll deal with the paperwork later." As the room erupted in discussion, Alex felt Valera's field brush against his, carrying emotions too complex for words. He understood. They'd won this battle, but the real work was just beginning. Implementing the solution would require cooperation on an unprecedented scale between humans and Lysarians. But looking at Valera's restored form, seeing the hope in the room as humans and Lysarians began talking openly for the first time about the crisis and its solution, Alex knew it was worth it. Sometimes the greatest breakthroughs came not from following protocols, but from having the courage to break them for the right reasons. What none of them realized yet was that the modulator would do more than just heal the Lysarians. It would open up new possibilities for communication and connection between their species, leading to discoveries that would change both their worlds forever. Bridge between worlds. 3 months after the breakthrough with the electromagnetic field modulator, the Seattle Xenobiology Research Center had transformed. The basement lab where Alex and Sarah had worked in secret was now the hub of a joint human-Lysarian research initiative, its spaces filled with the soft hum of modulator arrays and the crystalline chiming of Lysarian voices. Alex stood at the observation window, watching as another group of Lysarians underwent the stabilization procedure. Their forms glowed with renewed vitality as the modified electromagnetic fields washed over them, restoring the natural harmony of their crystalline matrices. "Remarkable, isn't it?" Valera's voice chimed behind him. "How something as simple as matching frequencies could bridge the gap between our species." Alex turned to face her, still struck by how her form radiated with healthy light, so different from the flickering, painful stage she'd been in just months ago. "Simple in theory," he smiled, "though I seem to remember a lot of late nights getting there." Indeed. Valera moved to stand beside him, their fields automatically synchronizing in a way that had become as natural as breathing. "The Council of Elders has finally admitted that their policy of silence was misguided. They've authorized full disclosure of all medical data relating to the crisis." "Better late than never," Alex mused. "Though I have to admit, some of what we're learning is extraordinary. The way Lysarian crystalline structures can actually adapt to and harmonize with human bioelectric fields. It's revolutionizing our understanding of both our species." Valera's surface rippled with what he now recognized as amusement. "You're still thinking like a scientist. Guilty as charged. But you have to admit, the implications are fascinating. The modulator was just the beginning. The potential applications for human medicine alone are significant," she interrupted gently. "But that's not why you did it." Alex fell silent, remembering those desperate weeks of secret research, the fear of watching Valera's condition deteriorate. The moment he decided that rules and protocols meant nothing compared to saving lives. "No," he admitted, "it wasn't." Below them, Sarah was explaining something to a mixed group of human and Lysarian researchers. The humans wore the new sensor arrays that helped them perceive Lysarian electromagnetic patterns, while the Lysarians' forms pulsed with the steady rhythms of health. "We're learning from each other," Valera observed. Not just about biology and electromagnetic fields, but about trust, courage, and connection. She paused, her form shifting with emotion. The Council has asked me to lead a new initiative. They want to explore the possibility of deeper synchronization between our species. Alex turned to her in surprise. Deeper than the modulator treatments. Much deeper. What we discovered, what you and I share, it's unique. The way our fields naturally harmonize. Some believe it could be the key to a new form of communication, of understanding between our peoples. Like the empathic resonance we sometimes experience. Alex asked, remembering those moments when their synchronized fields had carried more than just energy. They had transmitted emotions, impressions, even fragments of thoughts. Yes, but potentially much more. Valera's form pulsed with excitement. Imagine being able to truly share experiences, memories, understanding, not just between individuals, but between our entire species. A bridge not just of technology, but of minds and hearts. That sounds incredible and a little terrifying, Alex admitted. Valera chimed with laughter. Most worthwhile things are. But I cannot think of anyone I would trust more to help explore these possibilities. Her form shifted, taking on the particular glow that Alex had learned meant she was deeply moved. You took a chance on me, on all of us, when it would have been easier to look away. You risked everything to help people you barely knew, simply because it was right. That's not exactly unique to me, Alex pointed out. Sarah helped. Director Williams came around. Humans in general. We can be pretty surprising when given the chance. Yes, Valera agreed. That is perhaps what we love most about your species. Your capacity for empathy, for connection, for breaking down barriers. It continues to amaze us. As if to emphasize her point, a cheer went up from the lab below. Another successful treatment. Another group of Lysarians freed from the pain that had plagued them since arriving on Earth. But more than that. Another step toward true understanding between their peoples. So, Alex said, turning to face Valera fully, this new initiative of yours, need a research partner? Her form blazed with joy, sending waves of warmth through their synchronized fields. I thought you'd never ask. Outside the window, Seattle's eternal rain had given way to a rare clear sunset, its light refracting through Valera's crystalline form to cast rainbow patterns across the lab. In that moment, watching humans and Lysarians working together, feeling the steady pulse of Valera's field harmonizing with his own, Alex understood something profound. The greatest discoveries weren't just about science or technology. They were about having the courage to reach across the void between worlds, between species, between hearts. To risk everything for the chance of connection, of understanding, of growth. And sometimes, if you were very lucky, that courage was rewarded with something extraordinary, a bridge between worlds, built not of steel and concrete, but of trust, empathy, and the infinite possibilities that arise when different forms of life learn to synchronize their songs. The future stretched out before them, full of challenges and opportunities, mysteries and discoveries. But whatever came next, they would face it together, human and Lysarian, scientist and friend, two forms of life learning to dance to the same cosmic rhythm. After all, in a universe as vast and varied as theirs, perhaps the most human thing of all was learning to see past differences to find the harmonies that connected all living things. And in the growing dusk, as the last light of day played through crystal and glass, those harmonies had never sounded more beautiful.